So, hi everybody. We have Kato Lynn here with us with Real Talk HS Connect. Before we get started, I want everybody to take a few minutes and read the medical disclaimer, which will be down in the description. Kato is an HS warrior. We asked her to join us today because she's also a licensed professional therapist and works with a lot of people in need with anxiety and depression. I believe, is that correct, Kato?
Anxiety, depression, other mood disorders such as bipolar disorder, disorders.
Yes.
And I also work with adults only now, but I've had a whole uh, history of working with various populations.
Wow, wow. And are you in private practice or are you with
Currently, yes, yep.
us? Wow, okay. And what is that like with you having HS? Because it can be hard on us mentally as well and emotionally. What is that like? And I've always wanted to ask somebody with HS this question who is also a therapist. What is that like dealing with your own anxiety and depression, assuming, I'm just going to assume because we all deal with that, and helping others?
It can be difficult to navigate at times. I do suffer from anxiety and depression. I actually suffered from those before HS came into my life, which
Okay.
would have been 4 years ago. So it's difficult. It's hard to navigate at times, but really I just try and the things I teach my clients and work with them on, I also work on myself. So
That's perfect. That's perfect. Okay. And that makes sense. And I did have a question for you down below, so I think we'll dive a little deeper into that, if you don't mind.
absolutely.
So I guess with that said, and you touched a little bit, how long have you had HS? Not diagnosed, but how long do you believe you've had it?
I believe I've had it for, I know at least the 4 years. Trying to think back to where maybe I had rare instances before that, quite possible, but I
Yeah.
can't recall. So
4 years. Okay. So do you, and I'm always curious with these type of cases, did anything happen in your life or change that could have triggered it?
absolutely. During that time, actually, I was dealing with various losses, and my dad was diagnosed with a rare form of bone cancer. And I was working at a CMH at that time. And so I was working strictly with SPMI, severely persistently mentally ill, and I was dual titled. I was a case manager and a therapist. And so I had a lot going on when this occurred.
Lot of emotional trauma.
Yes.
Wow. I'm a true believer in, and I haven't been able to find a lot of research on this because I think it's understudied, um, something we would like to work on, but I'm a true believer that HS can be triggered, turned on by a lot of mental and emotional trauma. And that's why I wanted to ask you that because you kind of fall into that category.
I do. I fall into that one. Stress is big, trauma. And then also, I do have a little bit of the genetic component and food
Do
the
you?
trigger, unfortunately. So,
Okay. Now that's interesting. So it runs in your family.
only one other person I know of,
Okay.
but
Okay. So you could have possibly went the rest of your life without showing any symptoms had these traumatic moments not come about.
that is my belief.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. I might have to talk to you offline a little more about this, but
Yes.
I don't want to take up a whole interview on just that. That's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Wow. And when you, seems like you got diagnosed fairly quickly, and I know that's sad to say 4 years, but the average is, well, can be anywhere from 5 to 10 years, right?
I was actually diagnosed within 6 months.
What? Really? Now, may I ask who diagnosed you?
Well, initially it was a gynecologist who, well, she didn't diagnose me. She's like, I think it's this. Ha ha ha. hey, you want to have kids? And I was like, what? Like, no, what's going on? What is happening? And so it took me 6 months to get a referral to a dermatologist. The first one I went to was an HS specialist, and then started the whole antibiotic thing, right? So I became
Right.
resistant to that. Because at that time too, I had pre-melanoma removed off my back. And I also, everything came at the same time. I have eczema, melasma, and rosacea now. So
Wow.
that all happened at the same time.
But you got your official diagnosis fairly quickly.
Yep. Yeah, I
Wow.
was advocating pretty hard for myself.
Good for you. Good for you. That's awesome. Um, do you think having HS, even in the time you've had it, has it made you a stronger therapist? Do you believe?
I don't know if I would say it's made me a stronger therapist. I definitely have my challenges with having HS and doing therapy at times, but I've just really had to learn how to adjust and adapt. And so that's been my saving grace with being able to do that.
Yeah.
I no longer work full time. I work part time,
Okay.
and I work from
Okay.
home. So
I guess that's, I guess, and maybe, and I apologize if I did not ask the question right, but a lot of people struggle going to work part-time, full-time, whatever it may be. They have to take a lot of time off work. HS can be very, very unpredictable and debilitating. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm talking to a therapist who has to help others, and you never know how fragile this person's going to be mentally, right?
right,
And you're in a lot of pain, and it's very hard for us to hold our emotions and not get snippy with people, and you have to be almost that perfect person for that person at that moment. So I guess that's what I'm kind of, how do you do that?
well, actually, I am really transparent with my clients.
Are you okay?
Yes. And so they know I have a chronic debilitating condition.
Okay.
And so I share that with them right up front so that they're aware. And there are times where I've had to utilize self-care myself and maybe cancel an appointment, or
Okay.
there's times where I have been bedbound where I had to do phone only.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
That makes better sense because you can't, you know what I mean? You can't be this perfect person all the time. Not
No,
with something like this.
no, and that was really my big fear. If it hadn't been for COVID, actually, silver lining here, but I probably would not have a job. Um, and the lady that owns the place that I work at agreed because the insurances were not covering telehealth like they are now. And so it's really kind of, I don't like COVID. I hate it, but I thankfully have a job.
Yes.
So,
Are they
yeah.
going to continue the telemed? I know a lot of my places are.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm just gonna from here on out work from home. I never have to
Okay.
go back in the office, which is good because that was getting really difficult. I couldn't sit without being in pain, and the clients could tell, um,
That's what I mean.
like you were talking about. Yeah, and so that was hard to navigate. um,
Awesome. You just hit on a point I would like to just take this opportunity, especially in case men are listening. Um, what I have noticed with the bringing the telemed and having it being covered to the home for therapy, to include my husband, he would never go see therapy before, and he's now considering it because he can do it at home.
that's
So
awesome.
I'm thinking how many more men that's going to open the doors to, because so many men won't do it. Well, for various reasons, but many won't go into the office. So this is just a beautiful thing.
It
So
is, and it gives people more of that anonymity. Now I can't talk. Anonymity. Okay, we're done.
you know what, we can cut.
And yeah, I can't say that word today.
I know what you mean, but
Um, but yeah, they can, they don't have to go out in public and worry about potentially seeing a coworker or something. And so they really They get to
That's
have,
what he said. He goes, I don't want people seeing my truck with the type of career he had, seeing my truck there. And pride, right?
yeah, pride and fear of judgment.
So yeah, no.
So
Silver
that
lining
is
to it
awesome.
all. And I'm sorry, I'm looking down everybody because I'm old fashioned. I have to have things in front of me when I read. Everybody else has split screens and
Me too, though. I'm old school too. Look at me. I have
I
to,
love it. I love it. So, I guess I'm gonna ask you, this is a mix between you having HS. I see you a lot in the support groups.
okay.
Well, it's one way I met you, right? But this dates back. And then combined with you being a therapist, what words of wisdom, let's stick with the mental health side for a moment, do you have for those with HS? Let's say let's the depression and the anxiety and their self-worth, anything like that.
I would, encourage them to seek services. The help is out there, it's available. This disease already takes so much. I mean, it's physically, psychologically, emotionally, and for some spiritually draining, right? So um, there are things to help with that, to help with our thought process and all of that. So I would encourage them to seek it. And really, also in terms of seeking a therapist, a good resource would be Psychology Today.
Okay.
People can filter out, like if you're looking for a therapist who specializes in treating chronic illness, you just go down and anxiety or whatever that is, and you can really work on finding the perfect fit for you without having to hopefully go through so many. Because I often hear like, oh, I have to tell my story again, or the first 3 therapists didn't work out, and they get discouraged. But don't give up, because somebody is out there that can help you.
What is your advice on, I've been through this myself. I have a couple other friends going through the same thing. They lost their therapist. The therapists are moving on, and some of these people have had them for 20, 30 years. That's a mourning they have to go through, right? Process. But they don't want to find another one and retell their story. And that does keep people from seeking help. Is there a quick way for people like us to start over with a therapist, which is hard enough, and retell our story, but not have to retell our story?
I wish I could say something different, but not really, because in order for them to truly understand and build rapport, um, they can only help you with what they know. And so
Boy, that's a horrible catch 22.
it is. It is. It really is. It's hard.
It really is. It is. So I really want to open the last, we try to keep our interviews down to a half hour, 40 minutes tops, but I want to open the last part of this up to a little bit of free talk. I know you treat your HS differently.
Yes.
Um, a combination of nutrition and herbs. So I'm going to let you talk about that a little bit.
All right. Well, thank you. Yeah. I have really, I've been treating it with cannabis. And so since October of last year, and I had almost within a week, I would say, all of my recurring areas were healed. And I had 3 months of bliss. And so I was really feeling good. And then I did have another condition that aggravated the HS. And so I spent the last 3 months not knowing what was going on. Finally went to my HS specialist, and he's like, oh, you got something else that's causing this. And that has since dissipated. I'm back to feeling good. So yeah, I've been doing that for a while now. I got tired of the antibiotics and all the topicals. Just wasn't working out. Laser treatment helped me a little bit too. However, it was painful. And I was tired of putting myself through that. So,
And it can be costly.
yes, yes. And I'm saving money, even though it's called Rick Simpson oil, is what I use to treat it, along with a THC and CBD salve. But the RSO I take orally twice a day, sometimes 3, after I'm done with my clients. But I do that and use the salve twice a day, and that has been helping immensely.
I
Now
can't wait for
also,
the day. It
yeah,
is legal everywhere.
I hope it becomes federally legal soon, because I stumbled upon the cannabis HS site when I had signed my life away for Humira. However, I'm really sensitive to medications and whatnot, so that was a fear of mine. And then I looked into it, and I'm like, why not try a more natural route? Can't hurt. And so that's what I've been doing. Also topically until the area is healed, I used the RSO. And so it's a wonderful treatment for me anyway. And I know for other people, it might not help everybody, but my hope is that we can get more options out there for people, things that actually work longer term. And I'm hoping this is one of them.
That would be amazing. And HS Connect's all about spreading that awareness. Matter of fact, I have an interview with Miss Ashley from said group, the cannabis group, in a couple of weeks. So
That's great.
coming up anyway. But anyway, I reached out to her and she's very interested. So I just want her to elaborate on all the options and the different, what do they do, what they don't do, and whatnot. So it's time to get the word out.
I think so.
Yeah, it is.
Definitely. Yeah, because I mean, if it helps some people, and why not?
Yeah.
Why are we need to make them aware, and that's why I'm doing this today. Awareness.
I appreciate it. We really do. I just, like I said, you're very active in the groups, which we truly appreciate. We have all these little warriors all out there helping others, and it's just so beautiful to see. It really is.
I'm so grateful for the groups. Without those, I don't know where I'd be. I don't think I'd be as well off. I know a lot of people when they do finally get into one, you often see that they struggle with the fact of, oh, I thought I was alone.
Yes.
Felt like I was the only one that had this.
Your
And
heart sinks.
yeah,
It's like, oh my gosh, especially when they're older, and it's like you've gone this long, and
go on with
it's
excuse
but
me.
they're not alone anymore. So
And
that
that's a beautiful thing.
exactly, exactly. Well, Kato, thank you. I'm going to turn recording off now, but don't go anywhere, okay?
Okay,
Is there
thank you.
anything else you wanted to share with everybody?
Sorry, what was that?
Anything else you wanted to share?
Um, I mean, I just again would encourage people to be kind to yourselves. This disease is hard enough. And there please seek the help if you need it, and don't give up. So
Absolutely.